Welcome to Legacy Conversations, a channel where we preserve military memories and history.
Hello, Internet. We are back and I'm excited. And there's a joke about that as well, because some of the people, when I don't say I'm excited, ask me, "Chris, is there something wrong with us, man?" No, I'm actually really excited. Guys, I love doing this. I must tell you, this has grown beyond belief. There's always, we're looking for presenters. If you think you can do the job and it's unpaid, let me tell you, and you can edit, and you have a computer capable of editing, and that's a big computer. At least 32 gigs of RAM, if you can afford it. 16 gigs will work. 8 gigs, man, go and ask Fossey what happened to his computer. It would render for 18 hours, which meant for 18 hours he had to walk around on the beach doing what he does, simply because he couldn't use his computer for anything else. And that's why we upgraded his computer to where he now has 64 gigs. But anyway, we have a new presenter. So I want you all to welcome Chris Coomer here. He was on the show. He was one of the first guys who honored us by telling his story in the SAF. He had a fantastic time there, especially in Angola. And may I say to you, Chris, thank you, man. I'm so grateful to see you back, especially as a presenter. And he's going to do a lot of Air Force things. You know, these Air Force people, they talk their own language. They get obnoxious when you talk about their Ray-Bans and things. I know I was married to an aviator, not a pilot. You tell her she's a pilot, she can start swinging. She didn't like that. She's an aviator, she's not a pilot. Pilots are things which gets lost. I don't quite understand this US Navy, US Air Force interaction, but it doesn't matter. So I always like to speaking to these people. Chris, welcome here, man. Can you give us a bit of a background? Where do you come from and how did you ended up at Legacy? And by the way, he's a Patreon too. So he actually contributes to us making these videos. Chris, over to you.
Of course, thanks so much for the opportunity to chat with you. It's always good to see you again. I think it's fair to say you must have assimilated me in, because like when I look at you, I see myself, very little hair, a little bit of grayness. I feel a bit like mini-me, but anyway, that's all good. I'm really happy to be here. I think as the years have gone by, I've really enjoyed the content on Legacy. I think for me personally, the thing I enjoy is not just the stories and the action around it, but I like to hear people's personal background and their own experiences. And it's the sort of thing you don't see or hear, on television documentaries or even in books. And to me, it's that personal connection about servicemen doing what they did over that time that really has struck a chord with me. And it's, become my preferred viewing choice. And when I say preferred, it's become a must. I have to see it. I think just a little bit of background. Probably some of you folk, forgive me if I'm repeating myself. You may have seen my interviews a couple of years back, but I spent about 3.5 years in the South African Air Force from about 82 to 85. I was originally on pilot's training course. Sadly, I washed out on my training phase, but I've always had a deep interest in aviation, particularly military aviation. And I've been absolutely enjoying the raft of interviews we've had last year with South African Air Force pilots and other pilots, which I think mainly has been conducted by Fossey. And I just sort of felt compelled to really help out where I can. And that was the thing that really attracted me to kind of reach out and say to Chris, look, I'd love to help where I can. So I'm very excited and very humbled too to be part of the team. And I look excited to get going.
Yeah, it is getting going because since he recorded here with us, I knew he knew the basics already. I mean, the rest you just learn. Guys, there's no right or wrong here. Let me say that every presenter has his own style and we have to get used to that. There is no university here. It's a school of life. You just learn. But tell me, you and Steve Murray, the Rhodesian pilot, you're going to talk about the episode about his test flight, I think. You tell us something about it. It's coming up.
Yes, happy to. For those of you who don't know Steve Murray's background, I would urge you to do a search on YouTube and have a look at his first episode, which I think aired last year. And it gives a really good summary around his time in the Rhodesian Air Force and his flying career, principally on the Hawker Hunter jet, which was fascinating. And he also spent some time, I don't know if, I think he may have been an exchange pilot on 2 Squadron South African Air Force on the Mirage 3 CZ. So not only is it interesting in its own right to watch, but it serves as a good segue for where we're heading in with, I guess, is the second part of his military career, which is his time as a test pilot. So there's going to be some interesting conversations and shared experience. So it'll be a wee while before we record and have it up, but it's going to be good viewing. So if you're into aeroplanes, military aircraft, and you want to hear about some great experience from fighter pilots, this is the episode to watch. And we're looking forward to bringing you a lot more of those fighter type pilot episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, oh, Steve, you really owes me. Last year, I was in Laos. We were there because we had to leave Thailand to get new, what do you call it? Visas, because you had to leave a country every 3 months. So luckily now we got to stay here for at least an hour. And so an hour, no, for a year. Sorry, where do I fall out? For at least a year. And so I recorded him from a hotel room in Laos. And it was fantastic because the hotel was actually the old French spy headquarters. That's where all the spies used to meet there down below in the pub, which is normally where you find spies, you know, they like the pubs and places like that. And I also got like a knife, which I bought there, one of these real Rambo survival knives, jungle knives or something. I got there for, I think, $1 million of it, whatever the currency is, but less than $20 in normal money. It was so strange to me because we would buy a vegan burger for about 600,000 or whatever. I mean, you were counting in millions. It's amazing that country, totally communist still. But I liked it there. It's actually quite funny place. And I spoke to Steve Murray. And because of that video coming out, our friend Laurens Passon is working as a lecturer, I suppose, at the flight test school. And he realized that a Hawker Hunter standing there, which nobody knew how to fly. Would you believe? And then, of course, he saw the episode, and being an ex-prodigier himself, he wanted to get hold of Steve, and I gave details. And the next moment, Steve, at the age of 75 or something, arrived to teach these young hotshot test pilots how to fly a Hawker Hunter. And what made Steve so interesting, and I'm sure Chris will touch on it, he didn't start as a pilot. He started as a technical guy. He wasn't like an aircraft mechanic. And then he went to flight school. So he was one of those few guys who could actually, also, fix his aircraft or do whatever they do there. I'm really looking forward to that episode. And then there's another one which I spoke to him about, which we hope will happen in the future. The one with the different fighter pilots. What do you know about that, Chris? And I just want to say we're still setting it up, guys. If it doesn't happen, don't shoot me. But we're really hoping it will happen.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. That episode, if we can make that one happen, I think will be, well, it's a must watch. So I think where we're heading with that is to really get a personal understanding from these guys, just what it actually takes to get to that level of performance as a combat pilot. And we're also interested in understanding the different training paths that other air forces might take in getting their pilots up to that required combat standard. And also it'd be quite useful to get an understanding around combat tactics, how they vary from aircraft to aircraft. And always we want to get a bit of banter going between fighter pilots because that's in their nature. Which are the best aircraft? Why are they the best aircraft? So those are the kind of things which we're looking to really get, a deep dive on and a good understanding. And I guess part of that goal is to bring in anybody else who has experience in that area and an opinion. This is the place to come and tell your story, and we'd love to hear from you.
Well, we're going to hear from you as well, because we make a yearly, look back on what happened that year. And that's actually quite funny, because the things comes out behind the scenes, which you people don't always know. And a lot of things happens behind the scenes. Where we bless you, my man. I must tell you, we had a bit of an illness. That's why we had to postpone these videos for a little bit, but it's okay now. Yeah, I think in a year from now, a few months from now, we're going to ask you again, so how was the experience? So it would be interesting to me if you can tell me now, what do you think is going to happen? How do you think this is going to play out?
Well, I'm going to be horribly selfish here and say that I'm just pleased to be able to sit and talk to these guys. I think, I mentioned in my intro, I've got an obsession around all things aeroplanes, particularly military, and I can just sit and listen to pilots telling me their stories. I just find it absolutely fascinating. And again, it's those personal parts that I really enjoy. I know I'm sounding a bit aeroplane obsessed, Air Force obsessed. So I do want to also just mention, regardless of who you are and what you did during your national service, you should come and tell us your story. You don't have to be a parabat jumping into combat. You don't have to be a 3-2 battalion. You have to be in the recce's. That stuff is all fascinating. We love it. But, even if you were a cook or a driver, or a canon donkey, and you'll know who you are if you were one, come and talk to us. This is the opportunity to have your story recorded. And it's what I love about legacy is, when your kids come to you, and they find your old army bolsack and your kit and stuff, and they start asking questions. You now got an opportunity to tell your story, put it online. It lives forever, and you can direct your kid to watch it online, as I did with my son. And I don't want to, sorry, I'm going a bit off topic here, but I can tell you my mother watched my second episode about the operations into Angola and so on. And she said to me, I had no idea what it is you did over there. And she actually said to me, I'm so proud of you. And I can tell you, hand on heart, people, that was a wonderful moment for me. So, that's the kind of thing. It's look at it as your story, but it's also a reflection on a time in your life. So, cut a long story short, come and talk to us. That would be really good.
Well, it might be so that he is going to South Africa, Cape Town area about April, whenever. We will keep you informed, because once he's there, he might be, if somebody wants to see him, and we can twist his arm a bit. Perhaps he can grab somebody there just for a quick recording. That would be nice. But tell me, Chris, you're also a Patreon member. Do you get any benefit from that?
I think it's the best $5 I've ever invested anything in my life. $5 a month. You can't even get Netflix for that, But the other big advantage to it is you get premium content. You're going to get some things there that you won't see on the open web on YouTube. And it's a personal view, but I think it's well worth the $5. I'm not going to say it's worth more than $5, because Chris will put the price up. We don't want to go there. But what we do want is volume. Really just invest $5. I think it's also important to understand where that $5 goes, right? So a lot of that goes towards supporting veterans who may come from underprivileged backgrounds in Namibia, for example, who may have been on the other side. They may have been with SWAPO, or perhaps in the Angolan army. And those $5, that small amount, enables the guy to be able to get a bus ticket, to be able to go out of the middle of nowhere in the bush, to go to a town where there's a computer, that he's got money to actually be able to be interviewed and come and tell his story here. So I think most of you guys, folk watching this, are from, you know, the developed world, shall we say, and you may not have an understanding of how things work in Africa, but those little bits of $5, they matter. So it's just a personal plea. Please, just invest $5 a month. I guarantee you, you'll feel better about yourself for doing it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good cause. I can tell you people, it's not going to make me rich or any of the presenters. But it does cost money to make these videos. And sometimes, yeah, we have to help a guy to get his Wi-Fi working. Well, we can't record, you know, it uses mix. And so we have to do it. So thanks, Chris, man. I'm really glad to see you here. And I have to apologize to your wife in advance because I think you're going to be very, very busy. And if you're anything like me, since you say you sort of look like me, shame, man, that's hard. Rebecca will tell you that I always walk out of all the interviews and say, Rebecca, well, you wouldn't believe what has just happened. Man, this was the best ever. I says, you know, after 2.5 years, it's like, man, you said that last week too. And you said it the week before too. And then, yeah, but we meet fantastic people here. So it is just great. I'm just glad. I'm grateful for all of you here. Thanks for your time. Welcome Chris here below. Just make him feel welcome. And then let's look at these episodes coming out and that's it. God bless you all.